that. Dr. Eli Karam, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist, is with us once again. We're talking about anything relationship-based. I know we do this every time, Dr. Karam, but if you would please, tell everyone exactly what a licensed marriage and family therapist does, and if they do have family issues, we all do, where can they go to help find a therapist that would fit them?
Sure, let's do it. Licensed marriage and family therapist. There's around 400 of them in Kentucky, and most of them are centrally located in Wave Country. So they are fully licensed. You want to go to an LMFT, and that means a licensed marriage and family therapist, and they can see anyone, whether it be an individual, couple, or family, operating from a strengths-based perspective and a relational point of view. So whether you're having trouble getting in a relationship, exiting a relationship, or navigating kind of boundaries with family members or even friends for that matter, marriage and family therapists can help, John.
Yes, they certainly can, and we're going to put you to work, Dr. Eli. Now, if you'd like to give us a call, the number is, 571-5263, with any relationship issue. It may be your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, whatever the case may be, give us a call. We're going to go to the emails right now, and here is one. I'm going to put your work here, Doc. My husband's lack of effort in our marriage is killing me. He'd rather be downstairs in front of the TV instead of spending time with me. My anger towards him is turning me into someone I hardly recognize when I look in the mirror some days. I'm furious with him, but would be embarrassed if others saw me get this out of control. What can I do to get his attention and control my emotions without having to resort to such extreme moods? Sarah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I would think this is probably more common than I would know.
Sure, sure. Now, Sarah, I appreciate your honesty there, because we talk about, people, this old belief that we can change our partner. Well, sometimes, the harder we try to change our partner, the more frustrated we get, and they're not changing. So we got to learn to kind of modify our own responses. So your email is a good one, and we kind of have some tips with you. So in long-term relationships, sometimes we have what we call negative sentiment override. That just means you view everything through this negative filter. You hit your tipping point, and then everything your partner does or says triggers you. So first of all, what you have to do, it takes two to tango. As I say many times, I've never seen any relationship where one person is 100% to blame. So you have to understand your part in that. And maybe he's doing some of the things that trigger you, but as you said, your response is not making it better. In fact, we have this common patterns with couples where sometimes the more one partner intensifies, the more the other one shuts down. So your husband is probably the stonewaller, and you're probably the one that really gets keyed up. So you got to understand your own part in that cycle. And then the second tip is you really have to understand what we call the primary emotion. People think anger or frustration, and certainly you're all those things, and maybe many people watching at home are really frustrated at their partner. And when you come at them with anger and intensity, it really masks what's primary. And for primary, to most people, it's these more vulnerable emotions that people have a hard time showing. It is loneliness in a marriage. It is insecurity, and you want a partner that's there for you. But it's very hard to show that. It's very hard to show what you're not good at. So most people have an easier time getting angry, but it really masks what's really going on. Your partner can't respond to anger. In fact, they're going to fight back or shut down. They can't respond to you feeling lonely, you needing them in a specific way. So you got to do that. And another tip is to really don't hit below the belt. Don't exploit their vulnerabilities. If you have if you know the dirt on your partner, or you know what is going to really hurt them, a lot of times when we're fighting, we go for the gusto in that way, and we use things that we can't take back and that really injure both people. Even if you said it in the heat of the moment, it can be really scarring for the partner, so you can't exploit those vulnerabilities. Another tip is that you have to be able to call the timeout the right way. We've talked about this many times on the show, and that is not just bailing on your partner or not saying something on the way out. It's basically calling a timeout and offering assurance to come back and restart it when both people are calm. And you got to do something to be calm, and that is the self-care part. When you're sitting there, as you're writing that email, you can't be thinking of all the ways you really hate your partner that triggers all this negative emotion. You have to do things that are soothing to you, whether it be exercise, talking to someone supportive, kind of connecting back to why you fell in love with your partner in the first place. And then the last tip is really to initiate a repair. A lot of people do not. They say, "Oh, I'm just going to wait. It was his fault or her fault, so I'm not going to deal with it, John." So they sit there and they wait for their partner instead of, just saying, "Hey, I'm tired of doing this. let me take accountability for my part, you take accountability for your part, and let's move on. So I hope those are good tips, and this is, again, what marriage and family therapists help with every day, kind of resolving these stalemates or these what we call gridlocked positions. So if people are out there, you know, you can get help, and there's really no stigma around going to see a marriage and family therapist.
Yeah, obviously, it's really, I guess, healthy to have disagreements, but there should be basic rules. Are there any basic rules, Dr. Eli, that you can pass along to our viewers to say, okay, when you're arguing with your spouse, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this? Are there basic rules?
Yeah, basic rules. So certainly you don't want to make a lot of these inflammatory statements. You always do this, you never, kind of global statements. And we know John's right, we know in all the research on these long-term couples, the masters of marriage as they call them, they know how to fight, but they fight in the right way, meaning they make complaints. And a complaint, we know, if done in the right way, is actually good for the marriage. Now, a criticism is usually global, especially if it hits below the belt and it makes the person all bad and really shuts them down even more. So yeah, you cannot make kind of inflammatory global statements. And another thing is, you got to, when the timeout is called the right way, John, you got to give them space. So a lot of people, even the best couples, need an hour, no longer than 24 hours to hit the reset button until you restart that conversation. But you have to be able to take a timeout the right way.
All right, and I also think, I've heard you say before, Dr. Eli, you can't be thinking, I will leave this relationship.
That's right.
You can't throw that out.
You're exactly right. It's this idea of commitment safety. If you think you're going to bail, and if you have that in the playbook, a lot of couples, you know, whether they're married or not, they throw around the divorce word, and it is really a dangerous thing. And if you have that option, or if you think you could always bail at any time, you don't have the commitment safety to kind of get your footing to practice some of these skills we've been talking about.
Very, very good. All right, if you have any issue regarding relationships, 571-5263 is the number. Free advice from Dr. Eli. And Dr. Eli, if someone has, and this is, I would think, is common as well, they have a little bit of a roadblock with their spouse. They can't seem to get them to participate. They want to see a marriage and family therapist. Is it okay for them to actually see one on their own and go back home with that advice, or should you really encourage your better half to step on in and, hey, be a part of this?
It's a great question. Marriage and family therapist, again, we're going to work relationally. So if it's a relational problem, and if there's any part of you that wants to save the relationship, you should want to bring your partner. You know, kind of situations where you wouldn't do that, obviously if it was not safe, if you were in an abusive, either emotionally or physical relationship, you would not want to bring your partner. If you knew you wanted to exit but needed a plan and you wanted to consult a marriage and family therapist to do that, you would probably not bring your partner. And also, so you say you can't get your partner there. And any marriage and family therapist, and you can go to www.therapistlocator.net, as we show you every week, and you're going to put in your area code, your zip code, and then you will see a list of therapists. You should, when you talk to them and interview the therapist, which you should, it's all about fit, you should ask them, my partner's reluctant, can you talk to them? How would you go about getting them to engage? And any marriage and family therapist is going to be able to reach out to kind of both members of the couple, or anyone in the family for that matter, and try to get them on board. But yeah, it's important. If it involves them, you want them there hopefully sooner than later.
I also encourage you to jump online at this address, kamft.org, Kentucky Association of Family Therapists.org, KAMFT. But if you have a question today about a relationship, about a dilemma you may be having, you know the number, 571-5263. Dr. Eli is here for one more segment. Coming up, we got share tickets. Teresa Caputo will be coming to the Palace. We have those tickets for you as well. And we thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Give us a call, 571-5263. We are Wave 3 listeners.